Are they only cosmetic? What does that mean? Well, I mean, for one thing, building characters can be really difficult and time-consuming, and you have to go really through the game. So if you want, you could just buy the characters, but there's not really an aspect of pay-to-win, technically, considering it's a PvE game. Like, what advantage are you having over people if you're, like, paying for stuff, if it just makes the whole team better? You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, dang it, I didn't pay, so this guy's better than me. It's like, well, no, if somebody paid, then they're just a better teammate, so... I don't like pay-to-win, and pay-to-win annoys me, but in this game, it's really not that big of a deal, in my opinion. It's just like, because a lot of the fun is grinding for the stuff and working your way up to the item, but sometimes it gets a little annoying, because it's like, if you want to build a character, you have to build 3 pieces of them, and then combine those 3 pieces to make the final piece. But each of the 3 pieces takes 12 hours to make, and then the character takes 3 days to make. So usually, if I buy currency, it's just to speed up those stuff. Yeah, like I said, that's why you can also make real money currency by trading stuff to players in-game. Like, you'll find some rare stuff, and then you'll basically just go in chat and be like, who wants to buy this from me? And people will buy stuff with, like, money currency. So there's a lot of stuff that you can, like, get with like, paid currency, but you don't even pay for it. But there's like, nothing locked behind having to pay for anything. It's just if you're lazy or you don't want to go through, like, time-consuming just waiting periods, then you can. But even if you don't do any of that, it's just super fun. You just have to try the gameplay. Like I said, the thing about Warframe is, like, the entire campaign feels like the same 8 missions over and over, but it doesn't matter, because the gameplay is just so, like, fast-paced and, like, chaotic. Do you have my YouTube channel? Okay, well, whenever that match is over, just look up, what is it? Old Teddy Shoeshiner. And the stream that's up right now is just called Just Messing Around, and you'll see Warframe now. It's kind of like, it's not really Strike-esque. It's kind of, the end game kind of feels like Destiny, but a little less repetitive in my opinion. Only because it's like, they're always releasing like weekly missions that you can do for like special rewards that come around every now and then. And there's a lot of like, you do things, because basically you've got to modify your weapons and armors with mods that you find. And so you'll do certain missions to unlock these mods and do boss fights and stuff to unlock pieces of new Warframes to build and all that. And then there's these end game kind of raid activities called hunts, like Eidolon hunts. So you'll go to the open world, because they added open world areas, and you'll find that these giant monsters that at nighttime will like emerge out of the water, and you have to do all these like mechanics to like get it down and fight it. They have another one on the Venus open world called the Profit Taker. And there's, I don't know how to explain it. You just have to like play it. But, like, even if you end up not wanting to play it long term, I don't think you'd regret giving it a try at least, just because, like, at first, I like, it took me 3 times getting into Warframe to stick with it, because it's just so complicated that basically everyone, like all the YouTubers that play it, say if you want to get into Warframe, watch videos, or else you're going to quit out of confusion. Because it is confusing. But once you get it, it's like super satisfying and fun. Like, my brother is not into grindy games, he's not into looter shooters or any of that. He's really critical of them, but he actually enjoys those.
You just keep standing still, by the way, so I don't know it. I'm a little over halfway done with it.
Oh yeah, and my favorite thing about the game though is not only just the mobility the game offers, but like I said, every Warframe has their own uniqueness to them, so every character has 4 unique abilities, they have a passive, and you just play them all differently. Like, this character literally has like, there's a vehicle thing in the game called a K-Drive that's like a hoverboard that you can use to get around, but only in the open world. But this character they just added basically has a K drive you can use it within missions. So you just like skate around on like this fish thing. It's really fun. Yeah, Tyler openly hates Lake Powell. The far right one or the far left one?
I want to try to.
Did I enjoy this suffering? Irrelevant. Focus on your task.
No, peace campaign.
I'm just switching controllers. This controller is really acting retarded.
That was very easy. That's cool. Back there, watching.
Yeah. So basically you're supposed to like, you choose a starting warframe, and then as you play the game, you get to these boss fights. Not all of them are 1-through boss fights. Like some boss fights you grind for the pieces. Some warframes come from quests. Some warframes come from certain activities. Some warframes come from as simple as like, oh, certain enemies have a chance to drop one of the pieces for them, and so just playing the game will unlock you people. The most confusing part is just like knowing where the warframes come from, and then like knowing what materials are for and where those certain materials come from and stuff. That's the hard part. But like the builds and everything are really satisfying, because you can just like be a complete melee build or a complete like gun build or whatever.
A new data conduit is open.
How many
Our
warframes?
experiment moves to a new zone.
You get to choose one out of the starter 3, but then the first one that's available to be unlocked throughout the campaign is called Rhino, and he's kind of like a tanky buffing kind of build, and he's available like really soon, like basically the first boss fight.
Hunter,
Go ahead and end that
the
mission.
sanctuary will go on without you.
Yeah. Once you get out of the tutorial, yeah. But I'm playing the weird weeby anime girl character that just came out, but she's actually kind of fun. So I'm gonna do a Venus survival. Wait. Yeah, PlayStation Plus sometimes just gives you free stuff. Oh, tip run. Yeah, in this stream right now, I'm just going into a survival, so I can just try her in a survival scenario.
A lone Tenno operative is raiding this ship for supplies. You are here to distract the enemy. Trigger the alarm.
Okay.
Actually, here, I can.
It does.
It does. It also has Amazon Prime bonuses.
Well, that's the thing. Oh. Wait, yeah. Twitch Prime and Amazon Prime, I think, is the same.
Here's my link. Hit my link. Yeah, Amazon Prime just a little bit ago gave me a free Loki, which is a character and then a skin for him. I sent you my link so you can see the survival.
Hit my leg? What
Are
the
you
fuck
in?
is a bladder? 3 months ago. I'm done with
Yeah, so here's the survival mission. Basically, your job is to try and not run out of life support while...
Look for personal life support modules dropped from fallen enemies.
This is Urelli, the character that came out today. Huh? She's interesting. Her design, like I said, is kind of weird. Like, she's got, like, the thigh highs and stuff, but she's fun. Yeah, so right now I'm just hovering around on my hoverboard thing with blades flying around me, just sawing everybody up as I fly by.
Tate Ferguson was suggested to me on Instagram. In his bio says my journey to be the best MMA fighter to date.
Yeah, sure.
That's Tate Ferguson, and his username is the nice guy MMA. Are you fucking serious?
And I'm super green, because those are the colors I chose, by the way. Not
Super green.
Yeah, like you can change the color that your weapon emits, your melee weapons emit, your character emits, you can change the color of your ability effects, like your everything.
I've delivered a life support capsule to the area.
Yeah.
Activating it will buy you more time.
I'm not sure. And they do a lot of reworks and stuff, because when the game first came out, Warframes were a lot more like kind of generic and not as like flashy, but now they're making them like really flashy. Like for example, this is my 4, like your 4th ability unlock. And let's see, where's a group of enemies? You basically throw up a whirlpool and like that, suck everybody in and it explodes. So that's pretty cool. But like people like Loki are really good, but over time they can just feel a little bit stale, only because they just don't have super flashy abilities. But he's super effective, because his first ability makes a hologram of himself that takes the aggro off of you and makes the enemies attack him instead. His 2, yeah. So he has 4 abilities.
The life support capsule is now available.
Yep. And then his 2, I confuse his 2 and his 3, but it doesn't matter. So his 2 makes him go just invisible, so he can just escape anything or sneak past people, and there's certain missions that are kind of stealth-oriented, so he's really good for those. His 3 makes him so he can teleport in the place of an enemy and switch places with him. So if he's like up at the top of the room... Yeah, so one thing that's fun to do with Loki is jump off a cliff and then teleport with an enemy and switch spots, and he falls off the cliff and you take his position. And his 4 is really good. His 4 shoots out a wave outside of him, like outward from him, and it disarms all enemies, forcing them to fight like with their fists instead of with guns. And no, it just destroys their guns. So all the enemies that were affected by it can now only melee you. Yeah, and when you have mobility like this, it's kind of hard for them to melee you at all. But it's just like a ninja game. It's like the most non-weeby anime feeling game ever. Oh shoot. I ran out of life support. I wasn't paying attention to life support.
Protect me.
See, I'll show you the customization. That song playing is one I made because there's a Warframe that's based off of music. So you'll like throw down a beat, and then if you like crouch at the beat, you turn invisible, and if you shoot at the beat, you get a damage buff and stuff. Yeah, just some like really crazy like so this is Revenant. Once again, he's green because I like green. He's the
Coleslaw.
If I may say, operator, your chosen Warframe suits
Nigga
you.
dying.
Old Teddy Shoe Shiner. OL apostrophe Teddy space Shoe Shiner.
It's a great name.
Yep, and then there you can go to, let's see, where is it?
He's like, yeah, I already know.
You can go to a bunch of different relays, which are just kind of like the tower. Just a bunch of the towers. It's like social spaces. Yeah, these are all places you can go to with a bunch of different missions of their own and everything. Yeah, Earth has free roam, Venus has free roam, Deimos has free roam, and I think they're gonna add another one. Let's see if we go to like a relay. These are like towers and stuff. So I'm gonna go to a relay, and you can speak to someone called Cephalon Cimerus, and he basically allows you to go into a practice room, so you can summon enemies of whatever level you want and test out abilities and whatnot. And you can really just like fine-tune your build. Like if you put in certain mods, you can like increase the strength of your abilities, or you can increase the range that they affect people, so you have like a bigger reach of the abilities. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's very
I think I know what it is.
upgraded.
I guess it's called PS5.
It's called the Simulacrum. Alright, now, so see we have unlimited energy and everything in here. So let's summon some heavy gunners. Right now I'm Revenant. This guy is all about kind of mind controlling. He turns people on his team, and he can kill them for bonuses. So here's his abilities. He can go like this. And so that guy with shards floating above his head will now fight for me. I turned off their AI, so they're not going to do anything. But he would fight for me. And every time he damages any enemy, they are now my thrall too. So basically, he will shoot them, then they will shoot others, and everybody becomes on my team. So let's assume a couple of these guys are now affected. Now that they're affected, if I go like this, I can phase through them and it damages them. See, that almost killed them. And by the way, the max level you can reach in this game is 30. These are level 95 enemies. They're really high level, and I almost one-shot them with that. Because I have a pretty decent build. This ability... Yeah. So, they're pretty high level.
Like our
It is when you can get a really good build going. Like, watch this, for example. So I'm going to turn all these guys on my team. I'm going to kill this guy. Oh wait, I'm out of energy. Hang on, let me grab more. So, let's say I killed this guy. He's dead, as you can tell. And then I do this. And now they're all dead. Just like that easily. And they're now level 95. But then, like, so basically there's main, like, I would say unchangeables, but there's exceptions. There's some unchangeable traits as far as people. So you have shield, you have health, you have energy. Shield is like a health bar before you get to your health bar, kind of like Destiny before you get the blinky bar. Oh, and you also have armor. Armor makes damage not hurt your health bar as much, but it doesn't affect your shield. Energy is what it costs to like start doing abilities and stuff. As you spam abilities and whatnot, it costs energy, and you need to pick up energy during battles, and there's a bunch of different ways you can keep energy up. But there are some people that break the rules. Like, this is one of my favorite characters, right? I think he's actually up. Yeah, right here. His name's Lavos. And Lavos is the, like, biochemist guy. and he has no energy. No, it costs no energy to cast abilities. Instead, he's cooldown based, which is unique to only him. So instead of spending like energy and stuff to use him, it just your abilities have cooldowns. So what's cool about that is, well, obviously I don't have to, like, if I have no energy, it's not like I just can't use abilities. And this guy is a really unique abilities. So what he does is there's elements in the game. Oops, there's elements in the game, kind of like Destiny. Like there's fire, electricity, cold, poison, and then you can combine them. Like poison and cold gets you viral, like a sickness, and fire and electricity gives you radiation and stuff like that or whatever. And so what you can do is this character's insane. So his abilities is if he whips them with his like snake whips, like I did on accident and then I just did again, that will heal me. But I can also, like, let's say there, I made viral. I'll whip them. Now they have viral on them. Viral halves their health by 50%. So then I can create ice, let's say, and now I'll skate through them. That ability surfs through people and then hits them with whatever you had on. So now they have cold on them. And then let's say I have fire. I throw this hourglass through them, now they have fire on them. So what you're doing is you're stacking and stacking and stacking all these abilities. Once they have a ton, you do your 4, and every negative status effect affecting an enemy doubles the damage of your 4. So what that basically means is you whip them with fire, then you surf through them with ice, then you throw an hourglass of poison, then you whip them again, but with like radiation, and then you surf through them with viral damage. But then you do your 4, and that's 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, and it just one-shots like anything.
Minute dick.
But like, there's just so much uniqueness. Like, if I showed you like every single one of these characters, like no two are super alike. Like this is Protea. She's one of my favorites in the whole game. So she's all about like rewind ability, like being a.
Uh-oh. I know, because my cock is so fat. Yeah, I know, Mama. Oh no, you can see you later. I'm talking to a friend. You think it would be better doggy style? Okay, I'm done. Banana bread Drews. Like if your name is like Drew. Oh.
You good?
Go. He's not back. Three magical.
Are there what weapons? You mean like rare and legendary? No, instead there's unique weapons. So basically, weapons can, like, there's, let's see, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33. So there's probably about 80 to 90 weapons in the game, and that's just primary weapons. And then there's also secondaries and melees, and then weapons that are built into a character's ability set. But instead of having, like, tiered weapons and weapons that are just going to be outshadowed and stuff, instead you just have, like, it's kind of like having, it's like guns are like their own class. Like, you basically can do a whole build for a gun, because guns have their own mod sets and builds, characters have their own mod sets and builds. Everything's really, like, deep. And so basically any weapon can be like something. Like, what I like, though, is a lot of weapons kind of feel like, it can feel like a shooter Bloodborne as far as weapons, because weapons can have tricks to them. Like, right now I'm using like a machine gun that shoots lightning bolts, but it can also transform into a sniper that shoots like plasma lasers. And there's also one of the best weapons in the game is called the Fulmin. It has no like ammo. Instead, it has rechargeable ammo that recharges like instantly. So you basically just have a ton of ammo. And it's a machine gun, but you put on a silencer on it, and it becomes a silenced shotgun. And it's like insanely good. And then there's like this thing called the Babonico that's like a big like growth on your arm, makes you look like the character from the game Prototype. And it's like a shotgun machine gun that also has an alternative fire that shoots like AoE poisoning blasts and stuff. Like, everything just feels like it fits its own category of something, and it's really cool.
I should re-download that game again, Prototype.
Protea is probably my favorite Warframe, though. What? In Warframe?
Well, you could look. Yeah, you could look, Schwanger.
I have my privacy settings on. So he can't.
Oh, that's green.
Let me look. I'd consider that it's a decent amount. Probably not like a ton, but how do I check again? Oh yeah, I gotta go to myself.
Minutes.
Yeah, it's like 13 minutes. However long a tutorial YouTube video is. I have almost 1,500 hours in Warframe.
What? Already?
I guess so, yeah.
Kinda epic.
To be fair though, probably about 400 or 500 of those are like active playing.
400 or 500 of them?
It totals at almost 1,500, but probably like 400 or 500 is like active, like playing, and not just like customizing and modding and AFK and all that into account. But Protea is insane though, because first of all, she has this whole like passive thing going on where every fourth ability cast is 100% stronger than usual. And so her first ability throws down a bunch of spinning razor blades that does AoE damage, and you can throw down just like millions of them, and it's a really cheap ability. Her 2 sits down sentry turrets that double in damage every shot, which is insane, by the way. You set down one sentry turret that, by the way, only lasts 4 seconds, and it will kill all 8 of those level 95 enemies. Like, she's just like brokenly powerful, and I don't know why. Her 3... and these all flow together beautifully, and I'll tell you why in a second. But her 3 sets down a little dispenser, and the dispenser will dispense health, energy, and ammo for you. Her 4 is super unique, because what it does is it basically turns on a time-lapse, like a reverse thing. So you activate it, and then everything you do for the next 11 seconds will all get undone in a way. Like if you run and jump and fall off a cliff and then climb to a tower and everything, once that time is up, or once you reactivate the ability, you do all that in reverse. So you start like jumping backwards, and it's all happening like super fast, like in Rewind. And what makes that insane is all the abilities you cast will not be undone, but the energy you spend on them will be undone. So, like, for example, I have 450 max energy right now. I could spend all that energy on setting sentry turrets and throwing blades and everything, but what I do instead is I spend 100 energy to activate the time lapse. Once I do that, I spam abilities as fast and as hard as I can, using up all my energy as possible. And then last second, before I go into rewind, I set down the dispenser that gives me energy. And then when I'm going in reverse, it's giving me all the energy that I spent on those abilities back. So once I am done, I only spent 100 energy because I only spent it on the time lapse. But because during the time lapse, right before it was over, I set down the dispenser, it's giving me energy orbs, which is just giving me back the 100 I spent. So I'm spending 100, then spending 350 on attacking abilities, and then when I go in reverse, I just only spent the 100. Like, it's going back in time, but all the abilities I casted damaging enemies stays. Yeah, so you can't trade built completed weapons or warframes, but you can give people blueprints. So basically you'll grind a boss, and grinding the boss won't give you the pieces, it'll give you the blueprints to the pieces. So let's say you want to get Rhino. You kill the boss enough times until you've gotten his neuro-optics, which is the helmet, the chassis, which is the body, and then the systems, which is like his inner workings. Then you craft those three things, and then you combine them with the Rhino blueprint itself. And so what you can do is you do missions, you unlock, like there are characters in the game, like let's say Protea or Excalibur, but then there are things in the game called primes, where it's basically, once the character's been out for a long time, they release this really powerful one that's all gold and like really premium looking, and it will start off with like a little bit better stats and something. He died.
I just don't think he cares. No, it's not.
You're good. But you start with different, like, a little bit better stats. You start with, like, more polarities, which is, like, something else. I'll explain it later. But you start with more polarities, start with better stats, and so people want primes more than just their regular counterparts. Like, you could go get Limbo, or you can get Limbo Prime, which is just kind of like a better one. And so to get those, you have to grind certain missions that are called relic missions, and you have the chance to get certain items, and one of those items could be the prime pieces for him. So, like, I'm trying to get Gara Prime right now, so I'm grinding these missions to get Gara Prime Neuro-Optics Blueprint, Gara Prime Chassis Blueprint, and Gara Prime Systems Blueprint. Once I have those, I go craft them, and then when I have the Gara Prime Blueprint itself, just like herself, then I combine those three pieces to craft her. So if you really need one piece and you're like not having good luck getting it, you can message in the market and be like, hey, is anybody selling a Gara Prime Neuro-Optics Blueprint? And it's guaranteed there will be. There's even a website you can go to called warframemarket.com, and it's just a bunch of people, yeah, it's just a bunch of usernames and like what people are selling. And all you do is just click on their name, and then you paste the link into chat, and it because it says like at whatever their name is, hi, I'm interested in blah blah blah, and so it'll DM them saying, hey, I want this, and then they'll just invite you and trade it to you and blah 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 whatever. And like I said, there are ways to get in-game like buyable currency, like the premium currency. There's ways to get it in-game as far as trading. So, obviously, when it comes to trading with people, they never really want to trade for items. They usually just want to trade for buyable currency. And so what you want to do is grind relic missions. And once you've built up a lot of blueprints for primes you don't care about, you just go in chat and say, selling this for this, blah, 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 whatever. And then over time, people just buy all your stuff. You build up a bunch of payable currency that you didn't even pay for. And then you can trade other people for stuff, like mods that are rare, or blueprints that are rare. Like, for example, things get vaulted in this game, but not in the sense that they go away, but just in the sense that earning them goes away. So there are characters that have been out for so long, like Loki Prime. Loki Prime is one of the most expensive characters in the game, just because he went away a long time ago, and so there's no way to earn him anymore besides buying it from people. And so people charge like 500 platinum, which is like, it's not that much, but I mean, like in comparison to like other things, yes. Like you can buy a full Prime character for like 50 platinum usually, but people charge 500 for Loki because there's no way to get him outside of trading it from players. So there's like an inflation aspect. Like things that become rare, people raise the price of selling, you know? So, two main things. He'll start with a little bit better stats, so in the long run he'll be a little bit more effective. He looks like gold and stuff. He kind of looks like a Leviathan themed character. They're all like gold and shiny and cool. And in the only other really one thing is they start with better or more polarities. What polarities are is as you insert mods into your Warframe, they have different cost amounts so that you don't just like make the most terribly overpowered thing unless you're at least putting in the work first. So what that means is a mod will take up, like for example, let me look at my Protea. So my Protea has 74 capacity for mods. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You have 10 mod slots. And so in those 10 mod slots, you can add up to 74 of the max capacity. Like this ability costs 6, this one costs 8, this one costs 7, this one costs 5. And so you can use whatever mods you want, but they can't, because each one has a certain cost to them, they can't exceed the 74. That is the cap. And so if you want to fit mods in that aren't fitting, you do something called, you forma the character, where you add a polarity. So what that does is every mod has a symbol attributed to it. It can have like a minus sign, like a Y shape, or like an upside down triangle. And what that means is if there's a slot that is shaped like that, that's what a polarity is, right? So if you form a character, you're choosing, do I want to put a Y shape on one of these slots, a triangle shape on one of these slots, a minus shape on one of these slots? And what that does is, let's say I put a minus shape on one of my 10 slots. What that means is now if I put a minus mod, like one of the minus shaped mods in that minus slot, it's half cost. Because mods can be expensive. Like they can be 14 out of the 74. They could be 10 or whatever. And, you know, if each one is 10, you can't have 10 mods in 10 slots because there's only 74 capacity. And so what you do is you add polarities, which, like, for example, Loki will start with, like, 2 triangle polarities. So 2 of the triangle-shaped mods can go in there for half cost, and everything else costs regularly. But Loki Prime will start with, like, 2 triangle ones and 2 Y-shaped ones. So now you can put in 2 triangle-shaped ones for half the price, and you can put in 2 Y-shaped ones for half the price. Which you could do regularly, but you have to do something called Forma, which means you fully level a character, and then you start their level back down to 1, but now you have a slot that you can half cost a mod. It's complicated. Like I said, it's something you'd have to see and pick up with time. I know it's like kind of going fast with it, but it's a lot more simple than it sounds. Like once you like see it and like understand what all that means, like it really makes like a ton of sense. It's like trying to explain, like, I don't think you have to make an account. I think if you do, it's like you can, like, transfer to PC or something later, but I don't think you have to. But it's kind of like explaining, like, the Oblivious status effect to somebody who's never played Dead by Daylight, but then also explaining the undetectable status effect. It's like, what's Oblivious? Oh, they can't hear your terror radius. Okay, what's undetectable? Oh, they can't hear your terror radius. It's like, well, what's the difference? Well, undetectable is for the killer. Oblivious is for the survivor. It's like, well, why would the survivor want Oblivious? It's like, well, they don't, but the killer puts Oblivious on them. So why would they put Oblivious on them if they can just be undetectable? It's like, well, you just have to play for it to make sense. Yeah, 2 and 2. Or, like, why do we say things like, that's good crap? Like, why is it crap? Like, no one else says that. Like, you go anywhere else and say, that's good crap. They're like, what? That's like saying it's bad, but I like it anyway. Yep, it's cool because you'll see an enemy in the distance. You just teleport. No, it's energy cost. So like if you have like 200 energy, it'll cost like 20 energy or something to do. And energy, there's multiple ways. So one thing you can do is run a mod called Energy Siphon that makes you regenerate energy over time. You can also killing enemies has a chance to draw blue orbs that give you energy, kind of like Motes of Light, but instead of being like, oh, certain weapons or supers make them drop, it's like they just drop on random chance. But then there's also certain characters that are really nice for producing orbs. Like, for example, one of my favorite characters is this super, like, buff woman that's all about having super high shield, and when she casts abilities, it doesn't cost her energy, it costs her shield. So she's, like, hurting herself in a way to cast abilities, but I'd have to explain all of her abilities for that to make any good sense at all, but trust me, she's amazing. But, one of the things she can do is she basically becomes a helicopter mom. And when she does, she starts floating in the air and lifts everybody up and makes them glow. And while they're floating, they just sit there and like drop a bunch of energy orbs out of them. So it's like whenever you need energy, she can just do that. She's really good.
Why?
Well, there's a bunch of different melee weapons, first of all. So before I answer that, I'm just going to tell you that there's like nunchucks, there's like kung fu, like, you know, where you fight with your hands and feet. There's katanas, there's great swords, there's like straight swords, there's what are those called? What are those things called that like it looks like the police batons, but you hold them by the little stick and like fight with them on your arms?
Police baton?
What are those called? No, but they're not connected. They're like the wood things.
Oh.
I can't remember what they're called. Yeah. I don't know what they're called, but there's those. There's like shuriken things, kind of. They're like big circle blades that you hold in the center and fight with. There's staffs. There's like giant hammers. There's like shotgun blades that you fight and like shoot with at the same time. There's sword and shield, axe and shield, hammer and shield, whips, like punch weapons that like go on your fists, like brass knuckles and stuff. There's like cleavers, rapiers, you know, like poking swords. There's like tomahawk things where you can like fight with it, but you can also throw it at people and it comes back to you. There's scythes. There's like dual wields. There's a scythe moveset that's really good, and katanas in general are really good. Yeah, basically the meta in this game is melee. Like, you can like never use your guns and be fine. I really like nunchucks. Swords are good, especially if you choose Excalibur, because Excalibur naturally does more damage with swords. That's like his thing. He's a melee character. And he's one of the starter characters you can choose as well. But yeah, I like my nunchucks, my staff called the Legion, and my Cronin Prime. I don't know what they're called, but they're like the... Oh, it was right on the edge of my... It was like right on the end of my tongue. I can't... But I forgot what it's called. Why am I forgetting what they're called? That's so annoying. It's like this weapon. What is this? Is there like a description I can read for it? Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna Google it because it's bothering me.
Who else? Who else loves blue?
Fuck you. It's a tonfa. Yeah, they're like sticks with a little like stick coming out the side, and you hold them by those. It's like what Black Widow uses. You know, like her weird stick things that go along her forearms. You know Black Widow's weapons that are like go on her forearms, and they're like stick things she fights with. Yeah, those are tonfas. So that Tonfa. Yeah, so my favorite weapon is a set of tonfas that have blades on them, and they're really good. But there's a bunch of really unique weapons. Like, there's one called the Zard, it's just a cannon that also has a shotgun mode. There's a crossbow that shoots, like, delayed explosion shots. There's staffs that when you shoot, they shoot, and when you throw them, they do different things. Like this one's a machine gun in the form of a staff, and if you throw it at people, it makes bullets magnetized to them, so even if you miss, you're hitting them. This one's the Ferrex. It shoots a giant charged laser, but if you throw it at a group of enemies, it sucks them all in. It gets them stuck in a confined space, making it easy to like AoE them. There's just like a ton of uniqueness to like everything. It's really cool.